Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 112 of the All in Football Fantasy Premier League show and podcast. I'm your host, the self-proclaimed FPL guru, Alex Rex, and joining me today are both of my usual suspects. Baz is back, Scott Williams and Barry Stokes. Barry, nice shirt.
Cheers, mate. Got to rep it, Anta, especially with Bellamy at the helm. So, yeah.
For all you listening on the podcast, Barry's wearing his Wales kit, and his Wales badge is right in the centre of the screen, proudly representing. I mean, you only played for about 3 minutes, to be fair, didn't you? And then the rest of the game you just held on. So
Yeah, near enough. It was horrible conditions. And Bellamy was like slating everyone. He slated the bus driver.
the bus driver, look at
It
that as
was
well.
quite a funny press conference. I enjoyed it. I was like, oh, he's next to be getting the golf swing out or something like that, blaming the golfing or something. But yeah, yeah, it's looking good under Bellamy. So yeah, I'm quite excited to see how it goes.
Your boy Harry Wilson, great goal.
Yeah, it was.
What a chap. Scott, got your two screens. You ready?
Always ready, mate. Always ready.
For those of you who don't know, Scott's been waiting for us both for half an hour. Sat, he's not moved. He's just been sat patiently waiting for Baz to get home from work and for me to upload everything I need to for the podcast. So, Scott, are you raring to go?
Oh yeah. Been sat here in spirit all day, but yeah, physically for about half an hour. It's a highlight of mine and everyone else's week, isn't it? So
Absolutely. Everyone who's listening. So, great segue, Scott. Thank you to everyone who's listening and tuning in. Don't forget to like the video on YouTube and subscribe to our channel. Do not forget to give us 5 stars on wherever you get your podcasts from, and click the little icon button when you get the updates and the alerts. And follow us on our social media platforms: Audible Pod, Audible P, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And Barry's been posting some good graphics on the Fantasy Premier League Facebook group as well. So thank you for doing that, Barry. And I've remembered your graphic this week. I've
Good.
not forgotten it. I got some real stick for that one last week. So, but Barry did put it up in the Facebook group. So, thank you for doing that. So this week we're going to go straight into fixtures. It is game week 4, the international break. We all hate it as FPL managers. So let's have a look at some fixture swings. Two teams in particular to focus on this week, Liverpool and Brighton. We're also going to recap some Villa and Chelsea conversations that we had the week before, which their fixtures swung at that point. And we're going to have a little bit of a look now at the next 4 game weeks, which basically covers until the next international break. So let's get cracking. Let's talk about the team, Annie Slots, Barmy Army, Liverpool. Nottingham Forest at home, Bournemouth at home, Wolves away, Crystal Palace away. Next 4 fixtures. Barry, I'm coming to you first. Do you have to have Mo Salah? Go.
Yes, 100%. If you haven't, you need to probably get Diaz or Jota, even though he hasn't performed as well, because they look like his preferred forward three. But yes, Salah is a must. Is was it two and a half cheaper than Haaland, and he's on exactly the same points. So for me, he is a must. And I've spoke to a few people who's wild carded and got them both in because they couldn't go without him. So for me, he is a must. And looking at obviously them fixtures as well, I think maybe even a Liverpool defender is a must as well. Because yes, Forest can score, but usually at home. Whereas obviously it's at Anfield, so I can only see a clean sheet for Liverpool there, and obviously the other fixtures as well. They don't look that good going forward. Palace away is a tricky one for Liverpool, so yeah, that it's always been tricky for them. But yeah, it's them 3 fixtures that are coming up for Liverpool look really good for a triple Liverpool. Depending on which way you want to go about it, you probably have 2 midfielders, uh, a defender and a goalkeeper, depending on defender or goalkeeper, which one you want to go for. So, yeah, I think you have to have Salah in a word.
Scott, your thoughts on that? And all of Liverpool's goals this season have come from that front three: 3 for Salah, 3 for Luis Diaz, and 1 for Jota. 3 assists for Salah, 1 for Diaz, 1 for Jota. Their expected goal involvement, Salah's and Diaz's very, very similar. Jota's a little bit below. Do you think you can cover Salah with Diaz if you can't afford him? Do you think, and would you have those two over Jota? What would you do?
Yeah, I agree with Baz. You need to have Salah in. Touched on it last week. It's not that he's just grinding a goal here and there. He's looking really dangerous. So yeah, he's just looking on it. I would have that. I would have Darwin Nunes. I want to have Darwin Nunes. I would have Luis Diaz very close second though. Like again, he looks really good. Probably could have had another goal slash assist, I think, on that record this season as well. He's looked really on it. Jota has looked good as well. But obviously Jota and Diaz both 7.6 million. You're going for Diaz, are you, at the moment in time? But Jota has started the season well. As a Jota owner, which I am, I'm sticking with him. I don't see the point in just transferring him out for Diaz because quite similar players. And then you've also got a little bit of a mind on, obviously, it's international break. Luis Diaz is South American, so I'm assuming he's travelled the other side of the world. Take that into consideration. Jota's obviously only travelled to Scotland and somewhere else.
Yeah, Scotland.
Obviously not too far, but yeah, must have. If it was me right now, I would be probably. I agree with Baz. I'd be looking at free Liverpool, Salah, Diaz, and the defensive option. Probably Alisson, to be honest with you. Really strong keeper.
This is what I was going to talk about next because I think we're all pretty much agreed. You know, you need to have Salah if you can get him in your teams. But sorry, before we go into the defensive thing, one more question I wanted to ask on Liverpool and Salah. What's the maximum amount of hits you take to get him into your team over getting Luis Diaz for no hits? Would you take a -4 to get Salah over Diaz, or would you take a -8? Because I know I wouldn't, but I did take a -4 to get Salah instead of getting Diaz because I could have done the sideways move. So
yeah. I'd stick it at 4. I don't think it's worth an 8 swing. 14, 10, 17 points compared to 15, 14, 3. So obviously that first game week for Luis Diaz, only 3 points, but 14, 15 last 2 game weeks. You look at it, it's not a massive difference to Salah. He's actually outscored him in the Brentford game, so he's not worth a -8. I'd say he's just worth a -4 because Salah is Salah and it's proven that he can do it throughout the whole season, whereas Diaz has never done that. He's done it in spells. So, and you want to be covering other people because a lot of people have got Salah at the minute, and a lot of people will have Salah and Diaz as well. So, I think a -4.
So would you, Barry, to come to you on that, and I want your answer to that question as well. But looking at the fixtures for this week, City have got Brentford at home and Haaland's on back-to-back hat-tricks. I think Forest at home for Liverpool seems a relatively straightforward Salah captain. If you didn't have Salah and you had Diaz, would you captain Haaland instead of Diaz? Or would you captain Diaz?
I probably would captain Haaland, especially with obviously how well he started the season as well. He's a robot in front of goal, and he just so clinical. It's unbelievable. We knew this anyway, with obviously how he's performed previous seasons. But for me, it's a tough one. Salah or Haaland, it's a coin flip. Me even contemplating Isaac after he announced that he doesn't like people transferring him out, and it annoyed him, and he might actually score 2 or something like that. So, but that's probably if I've got really bad gambling problems. So yeah, it'll probably be one of the two, Salah or Haaland. And to answer your question, I don't like taking hits regarding getting players in, but he's going to cost you in the long run. So yeah, -4 max.
And Scott, for you, I think this is kind of the question I'm trying to get at. So if you would take the -4 to get Salah because you would probably captain him this week, but you wouldn't captain Diaz, you'd captain Haaland, it's a bit, when you look at the returns of Diaz and you look at the quality of the fixture that they have with Forest over Brentford. I mean, to be fair, this season, I think maybe they're relatively similar side of fixtures, are they? Forest have started okay. Like it's What's your take on the we're getting well ahead of ourselves here, but captaincy in that sense for Scott?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, I wouldn't. I don't think I'd captain either of them. I'd say I'm probably going to be captaining Haaland in that game. He's just too on fire at the moment. But it is close. But Forest, yeah. But I would still bring in Salah. Like, you're not just bringing in, Salah or Diaz for a game week. Like Bournemouth, you've said the game's there, but Palace away, they've been, not the greatest start. Chelsea at home is whatever Chelsea at home is going to be. Not keeping clean sheets is what they've not done for like 2 seasons now. Then you've obviously got a really tough game, Arsenal away, but then you've got Brighton at home, Villa at home. Villa's going to be right in the midst of Champions League football. How are they going to react to that? So you're bringing them in for the course of a while, aren't you? If not for the rest of the season, really. So I probably rightly or wrongly never look at bringing a player in and thinking I'm going to bring you in and captain him. I just would like to bring a player in if I know he's on form and got good fixtures. So it doesn't cross my mind, to be honest with you, the captaincy.
I think the captaincy thing crosses my mind with taking hits. Sorry, when I'm taking hits, like a little bit, it kind of justifies the hit in essence. It's kind of one of those things where, like, well, I'm going to double the points of this player that I'm bringing in anyway, and that's the reason why I'm bringing him in. So it justifies, in my mind, okay, well, he's worth the -4 because I want to get double his points anyway. Whereas if I'm taking a -4, like I wouldn't. So again, would I take a -4 for Luis Diaz this week? I'm not so sure about that because I wouldn't be captaining him, especially if I've got like Salah already. So it's just, yeah, I think it's an interesting conversation in terms of what's worth hitting and what's not.
With that, it depends on your team. If you've got two injured midfielders, if you've got Odegaard and Bailey, for example,
Yeah,
then yeah, probably is worth -4 because
yeah.
Odegaard obviously injured his ankle and Bailey's obviously got a hamstring injury. So yeah, it could be worth it on that front, but it all depends on obviously how your team set up. But yeah, you won't be doing it because you've not been captaining. So yeah.
With teams that have conceded goals as well, say Brentford have conceded 4 this season, and Forest have only conceded 2 when we're looking at captaincy for later on. So Forest look relatively strong at the back compared to maybe that Liverpool team. But we've all seen that Haaland scored 7 goals this season and Salah's only scored 3, but they're on the same amount of points. It just goes to show midfielders, they just rack up the points a lot quicker than strikers do. So yeah, unless it's Haaland, maybe he gets hat tricks, but we'll see. We will see on that front. Yeah, defensively for Liverpool, the value's in the keeper, isn't it? Scott, you're talking about Alisson. At 5.5, you look at the
Yeah,
returns this season in terms of points compared to even someone like Trent, who's got 1 point less, but he's 1.5 million more. Yeah,
I think
thoughts
so.
on this?
Yeah, I think so because again, you bring in Alisson and you're bringing him into play 90% of the games. City away, Liverpool away. That'd be interesting. Yeah. City away, maybe like a Spurs away, an Arsenal away. They're the only 3 games you're probably quite worried about having him in there. Other than that, he's going to be in for a long, if not all season, really. So you could sit in with one of the 4 million keepers. You can even gamble and just put any keeper if you want, even a keeper not playing on the bench if you're just going to commit to him. But yeah, as good as Liverpool have been defensively this season, the defenders haven't really got too many attacking returns. Like
They've got they've
Robbo's
got
Robbo,
they've got none, I think, have
yeah,
they?
yeah.
They've got
I'd say
they
I'd say Trent has looked dangerous. I think he's played really well. His balls have been really good. He's been linking the play up. I've been quite impressed by how Trent's looked. He's not looked anywhere near points return good enough to justify the 7 million that he costs for a defender. There's better options out there for me. So yeah, I would want Alisson as my keeper, and he's potentially someone I'm going to look at getting in because I've got. But
yeah.
again, it goes back to the fact that you can build your transfers up, and you can now. If I've got 3 free transfers now, I don't mind splashing out changing the keeper now because I've got 3 in the bank. So it does change the dynamics a bit. That.
It does. I agree. You're not like holding on to those two transfers and they make massive. You still have two next week. You're not burning them, and yeah, it does make a big difference. To what you're gonna do. In terms of the statistics on the screen, by the way, we've got in terms of expected goal involvement, Salah, Diaz, and Jota 2.7, 2.5, 1.7. Then goal involvements have been 6, 4, and 2. So they've been outperforming their expected numbers. Jota only just, but the other two have been outperforming their expected numbers quite by quite a long way, really. And then the next down on that list is Trent at 1.7. Most of that is from assists at 1.54. So we have to remember that defenders get 6 points for a goal. So, but only 3 points for an assist, the same as everybody else. So if he was looking at an XG and looking like scoring, and that was what was making up that expected goal involvement. Exactly like Scott says, he's not looking like scoring goals. I mean, did score that goal against Man United, to be fair, and then kissed the camera and got ruled out, which is the only good bit of that game for me ever. Seeing him do that celebration and get ruled out. I mean, anyway. But for me, it was funny. That's the only thing for me that makes me go, it's not really worth it. Whereas if he was looking like scoring goals, 6 points, bonuses, it will be a massive step up. So yeah, I agree. If I'm on a wild card right now, my debate is between Alisson and Raya about my goalkeeper. They're proving their worth, and then I'm going Salah and Diaz. And I think we're pretty much all agreed on that one here, lads. Can't see where any
Stay
difference.
that 0.5 and get Canate in, but like I say, Alisson's probably going to be the better pick, even though I'm begrudged to say that because I don't like spending a lot of money on keepers, but I think he's also getting save points as well because, as you mentioned, they're not that solid at the back. They still concede some shots, and obviously with save points, I think that also adds up as well. So yeah,
we're just looking.
Would you take Jota out for Diaz?
Well, me right now.
If you've got Jota in your team, would you take him out for Diaz?
No.
No.
I wouldn't waste a transfer on it. I think, especially when I look at the expected numbers, their expected numbers are relatively close. And honestly, I really rate Jota. I mean, we all know I do on this podcast. I've mentioned it a few times. He can get a hat-trick in a game. I think he's clinical. I think it shows that from his expected numbers. He's not somebody who's missed a load of chances and that's why he's at the bottom. He's been linking up. Could have had a couple more assists, I think, this season. Yeah, I think just the way it's rolled for Diaz in that United game has made him quite clearly the better option. Keepers. You talk about not spending money on keepers, Baz. They're just worth it this year at the moment, aren't they? Like double the point. The best 4.5 is Sells. He's never keeping that up. And then we're looking at Fleckham here at 4.5. Steele's now got dropped. Fleckham's got 10 points. Steele's got dropped now. He's got 9 points. And then Leno, the rest are all. The next down is Areola on 8 points. Whereas you look at Alisson and Raya, this is where when they've brought the keepers down from 6 mil a couple of years ago and they brought them down to 5.5, they've started to make them an option. And I really like that with the FPL pricing. I think it's really made me go, hang on, these could be options. And look, Nick Pope still there with 16 points. And Newcastle look crap, but they still got some results. Keep an eye on Pope. He's a fantasy point scoring machine when he plays all the time. History, I'd say, of the last 4 or 5 years, it's just the way that it's gone. Let's talk about Brighton, boys. Brighton's fixtures. They have got 2 of the best fixtures in the calendar, technically, the next 2. The 3 after, not so good, but they've got Ipswich at home and Forest at home, the next 2. They are second in the league, equal with Liverpool, third in the league on goal difference, I think. 7 points so far this season. Should we be looking at getting a Brighton asset in this week, Barry? And if so, who are we getting?
I'm getting rid of my boy Hudson-Odoi this week. Yeah, I know. And I'm looking at, I don't think I've got enough money for Matoma. So it will be the cheaper option of the starting wingers of Minter. He's looked really good. The only problem is he's going to potentially be a rotation risk with a Dringer. So that's my only downside on that one. And obviously you want potential asset for Ipswich at home. because our Brighton have been good going forward. So for me, you've got to look at that. Forward wise, Welbeck's been performing really well. João Pedro obviously got called up for Brazil, so be wary of that, as Scott mentioned about obviously traveling to South America. So for me, it'd be looking at Matoma, Minter, or Welbeck. So they're the three that I would be looking at. Defence, I won't go near it. Maybe Verbruggen at 4.5, but is he going to do like a De Zerbi and rotate the keepers? I don't know. It's a tricky one, and I don't want to take that gamble, especially with transfers and things like that. So yeah, for me, it'd be them three as I mentioned: Welbeck, Matoma, and Inter.
You see, it's interesting because I've transferred in João Pedro this week. So I went for João Pedro over Welbeck, and at the end of the day, they've scored the same amount of goals. Welbeck's got 1 assist, even though João Pedro's looked more likely to provide an assist. Honestly, penalties is a thing for me, and then also Welbeck's injury record. I can't get past it. I wish I could, because actually I really like Danny Welbeck from when he played at United. I've always thought he's actually a really, really good player, and if it weren't for his injuries, he definitely could have played at Arsenal for longer. He could have probably played at United for longer. But I can't spend a transfer on him knowing that I think he's going to get injured, and that's just FPL. That's like 11 years of playing this game and making this transfer and getting hurt by bringing somebody in who gets injured. I think João Pedro as well. If he still looks good, and I think with the injuries, I think he just looks a little bit more reliable. And yeah, penalties makes a difference. Scott, your take on that sort of front four, because that is the front four that's starting every game. So Minter, Matoma, João Pedro, and Welbeck.
Yeah, from what I've seen, well, I've got Pedro. I've had him since the start of the season, so yeah, not getting rid for sure. Quite sad. He was my first sub last week. So yeah, didn't come on for like 9 points.
You finally made a mistake. It was first 3 weeks. Some had to cost you some points. You're flying too high, Scott.
That was it. That was my points left on the bench. But yeah, I think we've found the Matoma from the season before last. Obviously, he had a bad injury last season, missed most of the season, didn't he? But he looks really good. He looks really, really good. I've been impressed. And Matoma is one that I'm looking at potentially this week. I think I might look at getting him in for an Anthony Gordon. Newcastle, like we said, just not looked on it, not looked right. I feel like that could be a good switch for me, and it actually banks me some money as well. So yeah, I do like Brighton attacking wise going forward. I wouldn't go anywhere, like I said, I won't go anywhere near the defence. They're up too weak at the back at the moment. But yeah, for me it'd be Pedro and Matoma would be the two standout ones I'd go for there.
Interesting. And yeah, I really like any of them that you can get as draft options. I think that's pretty straightforward as well. If any of them are available still in your draft league, jump on them. So I think they'd be great choices for you.
Can I just say what some of Evan Ferguson's drop off needs to be discovered, doesn't it? Like, needs to be studied. I remember when he was like going for like 80 million to like Spurs.
Yeah, 100 million it was price tag or something like that.
Got one hat trick, didn't he, against Man United?
I don't know. It might have been. I probably turned it off.
Sounds all right. But yeah, it's like when I saw him come on as like a late sub for Ireland against England, and let's be honest, it's one thing not being able to get into the Brighton team, but let's be honest, if you're not getting into the Irish starting 11 with their strikers, like, I mean, something needs to be done, innit? They've still got like Wes Hoolihan on there, it's like they can. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, that's bad times for Evan.
Yeah, he's got to come back at some point. Surely he needs to just get on the pitch, doesn't he? Maybe he's waiting for Welbeck to get injured. But yeah, he does need to get on the pitch. Interesting you say about taking out Gordon and Isak being taken out of a lot of teams. You've got to look at Newcastle's next fixtures: away to Wolves, away to Fulham, home to City, away to Everton, at home to Brighton, away to Chelsea, at home to Arsenal. Like, I know Wolves and Everton are in there, which are two decent fixtures, but they are away from home. And you know what Newcastle are like away from home compared to at home. They just feel like a different beast, don't they? So Yeah, I mean, I've taken Isak out this week, so I'm one of those guys that he hates. Sorry, Mr. Isak. Don't hate me too much. Yeah, he's turned off now. Don't know what you did after the lack of graphic, Baz. But yeah, I can't be helped. Let's just quickly touch on a couple of the other teams that we discussed last time. Aston Villa. One the key difference now being that Bailey's injured. Is he out? How long is he out for, Baz? I don't know. Is he out
I
for?
don't know. I tried to look earlier and I couldn't see anything. They were saying he might need surgery on his hamstring. So
Okay.
I couldn't say. I couldn't give you a definitive answer on that, unfortunately. I'd like to be in the know, but unfortunately I don't. But
Okay.
Ramsey will probably come in for him as well, and that'd be a nice little 5.5 million player there. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Again, someone like Ramsey, he's proved that he's got quite a high ceiling in previous years. He's proved that he's a form player as well. So once he gets on the pitch and yeah, he usually ends up delivering. I wouldn't. There's more important transfers to do, I think, at the moment than probably this guy. But he absolutely is on my radar for draft. I think he's somebody who could be a good asset coming out of Villa with, especially Everton, Wolves, and Ipswich the next three games. Everton and Wolves both being at home, Ipswich away. Then they've got Man U at home, and they could win that. To be fair, so I think over the next four, he's somebody who's potentially worth investing in. Um, don't fall into the Dina trap, everybody. Again, that's just FPL hurting me for years. He's just a horrible asset because he has like one good week and then he just gets dropped or gets injured again. If you want the gamble 4.5, why not? If you've got gambling problems, I won't be going there. Any further comments on Villa, Scott? From
Just
previous?
again, just echo what I said last week about like someone like Rodgers. For me, it's about watching the football games. He's got 6 points in 3 games, but he looks so dangerous. He scored for England. He whipped out. Everyone's saying, "Oh, Cole Palmer's celebration." No, Cole Palmer nicked it from Morgan Rodgers. Um, so yeah, he'll be staying in my team. I think he's a great at 5.1 million, still really good value. And yeah, maybe Onana. He's such a threat from corners and set pieces, but yeah, with Ramsey coming in, you'd expect Ramsey being the one sort of pushing a bit more forward there, rather than him and sort of like Tillemans. But yeah, a bit of an interesting one. If you have got real big gambling problems and just thinking I might just punt this week, Duran would be a shout.
Duran, just yeah, seems to be coming on the pitch. He's getting minutes. He's putting the ball in the net. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised with Bailey's injury, and I know I said this on the podcast last week. I wouldn't be surprised with Bailey's injury to see Watkins move out to the left and Duran start through the middle, and then Ramsey not play. It's only because he has done that before. I think it'd be I think it's highly unlikely, but I wouldn't. So if I saw that lineup, I wouldn't go, "What is going on here?" It would just be something that would is a possibility. And yeah, Onana's got the second highest XG out of all of the Villa players, and he scored twice. And Ollie Watkins scored none, and he's got the highest. So that's Watkins is going to hurt us all one game week, isn't he? One game weeks we're going to be like, damn it, we should have had Watkins when he starts hitting form. Chelsea, Barry, still really good run of fixtures. Madueke did start,
Yeah,
but
didn't do much, obviously, because I brought him in. So yeah, it's what it is, isn't it, this season for me already. If not brought him in, he probably just scored a hat trick. But yeah, for me, Chelsea it's a difficult one with them. Jackson looks really good. I think it would be a good option to wild card in. Madueke as well, obviously Palmer. I think they're the only three that you'd probably be looking at. Defensively, they're not great. Even though I've got a defensive asset for them, because I thought that they might be a bit more solid, especially with Lavia and Casado as the holders. But yeah, it's going forward where they look a bit more frightening.
they
And
even
Palmer,
started. Sorry, they even started Lavia, Casado, and Enzo together, and they still couldn't keep a clean sheet.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. So for me, Palmer's probably a must for these fixtures because he's not selected in Europe. So you could have him for a long period of time because as I mentioned, he's not slated for Europe, and he's prime going to start, and they'll probably just get him in once they've passed the group stages because they only play like napkins and other things like that. So yeah.
Baz, I made this joke last week. You should have been on the podcast for it.
I made it in the previous one as well. So yeah, it's all right.
Palmer apparently is in training and it's been pictured. Yeah, great fixtures. We had this conversation last week though, didn't we? The big hitters are performing. You can't afford to have Haaland, Salah, and a Liverpool defender, Jota or Diaz, along with one of the other strikers that's in decent form, and then also Palmer. Like it's just you can't really put a team together without jeopardizing the rest of it that's got them all in. So yeah, I look at it and think, who's the must-have over Palmer and Salah? It's Salah. So you just can't. I don't know. Maybe you've had a look, Baz. I can't figure out a way that doesn't weaken the rest of the team so much, where you can really have Salah, Palmer, and the rest of them.
There is ways, but like I say, we can you probably have like 2-4 millions, a 4.5 midfielder, maybe even a 4.5 backup striker. So it just throws it all out, and it's not worth it. And you might probably have like Flecken at 4.5 starting every single game because you'll probably have Fabianski at 4 million. So yeah, it's not worth ripping up your team just to get 4 or 5 premiums, and it'd be lovely, but fortunately, it's not last season's FPL.
Yeah, it's much trickier, but also I think much more exciting because if you can, hopefully there'll be more opportunities to pull it back, and planning ahead for these sort of transfers is going to be vital. Let's have a quick look at the landscape for the next 4 fixtures before we do our differential draft, which we are going to do live this week. That's live. Arsenal have got 2 pretty tough fixtures, Spurs and City away, but then they've got 2 fantastic fixtures, Leicester and Southampton at home. As discussed on the pod last week, they kind of match up really nicely with Liverpool's fixtures. They obviously match up with Leicester at home and Wolves away in the same week, but I think we'll see a lot of Arsenal players transferred in for game week 6. Villa's fixtures run good for the whole of these 4. And then we see a team like Brentford maybe looking at game week 6 as well. There's a lot of fixture shifts. Bournemouth as well around sort of game week 6, then game week 8. Ipswich have got a half decent run throughout, so keep an eye on those guys. Keep an eye on some form players. There hopefully might be some really cheap enabling options in there. None really have appeared so far that we've gone. We must have, players like Delap or Leif Davis or.
Delap's look really good, and there's Ogbenny now at 5 million.
Well, we shouted that last season, didn't we, Ogbenny? We thought he'd stay in the Premier.
He looked near last season, so yes.
Yeah, 5 million is a good shout at that price as well. To be fair, Baz, thanks for pointing that one out. And yeah, they're good. And when you look at from game week 7 onwards, Leicester have got a good run. They've actually got a decent run if you take out Arsenal away from game week 5. So again, it's just about keeping an eye on the assets from those teams. We'll see City have quite a tough run for the next 3. Brentford at home's a good fixture, obviously, for them because it's City at home. Then they've got the Arsenal and Newcastle games before Fulham at home in game week 7. We don't know what we're going to get from Man United or Newcastle. Very hit and miss fixtures for Forest. Southampton, I don't think we'd want to invest in them anyway. Spurs, after this week, they've got, from game week 5, they've got Brentford at home, Man United away, and Brighton away. So not the easiest fixtures. And then after the break, maybe there's some options we could invest in there. And then West Ham and Wolves, again, the fixtures aren't that great. So there's a couple of key swings. I would say game week 6 to Arsenal is the key one out of all of that. Any comments on that, Baz? Further in terms of fixture swings of what we really need to be paying close attention on and maybe saving up our transfers for?
I'd say probably game week 7. I'll be looking at potentially getting a triple Man City.
Okay. So the fixture run from there.
Fulham at home, Wolves away, Southampton at home, and Bournemouth away. Triple Man City would be nice.
I think it'll just be the conversation again, won't it, about which 3? Because at the moment I've got Guardiola and Haaland, and it's like, which other one do I add? And it's this. Yes, well, as long as you found Phil Foden, then that'd be great. Scott, anything to add, or should we do our differential draft?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Right, results from last week. We've got Barry and Boomo. Your man, 14 points, did it for you. 30 points total you got that week. And you obviously did your double Bournemouth as well. So many paid off in the end. And Scott and I were dead level, both with only 12 points each. We both had a pretty poor week. Even one of my guys got transferred out before the whole thing started. Neto left the club. Yeah, and then I got Bailey injured. So I didn't exactly run very good last week in terms of differential draft with a transfer out and an injury. But yeah, then Scott's picks both started, Timber and Trossard, and then Declan Rice decided to kick the ball away. Ruined it all. So that means that Scott's first, I'm second, and Barry, you're third. Scott, over to you.
All this stuff. I'm actually going to go Mitoma, 8.6%.
Yeah, immediately he was going to be the first pick, wasn't he? I'm going to go for Minter at 1.9.
I'm going to pick. How bad do I? How silly do I feel? I'm going to pick Rashford at 2.9.
I mean, he ain't even starting, mate. Amadan
He's training. He's training.
What a joke. Scott, go on.
I will go for. What am I doing? Crap. Sorry, at the moment here. I'm gonna go. No, we won't. Oh no! Panicking. I'm not really gonna go this. I'm gonna go this person. I'm gonna go from under 1%. I'm gonna go for Strand Larsen.
Wow, he's gone up top with the under one. I like it from you, Scott. I really do. I'm gonna go for my over. I'm gonna go for Jared Bowen at 5.9.
We only have one midfielder, two midfielders, don't we?
Yes.
We can have two defenders. It's up to you. Depends your formation. I'm picking Mateta at 4.2.
Yeah, I like the pick from you, Barry. Can't hit a bound over the machine gun at the moment, but could be in.
Is it me again? Sorry. Goalkeeper, I will go Leno at 3%.
So good shout from you there, Scott. I'm also going to go for my goalkeeper, and that is Verbruggen at 1.1.
My goalkeeper. Half goes on. I'm going to pick my under one, and it's same as your mum's, Scott. I'm going for Barnes, 1.7.
Ashley. It was this person, Coker. That's not a person. Oh, Doku. That's who that is, right?
Got the Pookie, have you?
No, I go for Doku. I think I've gone for Doku like 900 times in this differential. He's never got me any points.
No, but why not? I don't blame you. I'm going to go for
I've got one defender left on my
the man that I always pick, I think, a differential draft. Cunha at 2.5.
Yeah.
I'm going to pick my defender.
Don't do it.
Do I do it?
I know he's going for it. I know he's going for it. I know he's going for.
No, I'm not going for him.
You are.
I'm going for Van Hecker.
I knew you were going for Van Hecker.
It was a Stupid.
It was a flip between him and a Stupid. I knew it as well because you've just made me pick a Stupid as my next pick. Oh, fair enough. There you go. Unless Scott wants to pick him. Have you picked your defender, Scott?
No, so I might be off a Stupinian, to be honest with you. I'm gonna, Stupinian.
Oh, he's done it. He's taken away my under one. Fine. All right. Well, I'm going to go for Fabian Schär at 0.9. I had 3 under ones in terms of, and they were my 3 under ones. Schär, Van Hecker, and a Stupinian were my 3 under 1% defenders.
And I'm picking my goalkeeper. And even though I said they don't keep clean sheets, I'm picking some.
There you go. Well, it was the only other keeper you could have, mate, really, I think, to be honest, when I looked at the goalkeepers.
I could have had, because I've still got me under 10, I could have had Onana, Edison, or Pope.
Oh, you still, of course, you had your under 10. You don't use your under 10, Barry. You'd be letting yourself down, wouldn't you, if you used your under 10? So, Scott, your team is.
Leno, Stupinian, Matoma, Doku, Strand Larson. Awful, actually, when I read it out.
Yeah, I feel sick with mine. Verbruggen, Shah, Bowen, Minter, and Cunha.
Sanchez, Van Ecke, Rashford, Barnes, and Mateta.
No, I feel better. I feel better now. I've just heard Baz.
I do feel better as well.
Yeah. Barnes and Rashford, that's one of the worst midfields I've ever seen. And wait for it to smash. I can feel it. I can feel it already. I can feel it already. Right. So, wanted to, before we just talk about captains briefly and wrap up, wanted to have a look at the AI team transfers. Now, I'm going to do this live because I have absolutely no idea what it's going to recommend for the pod team to do. So, we're going to have a drum roll, please, and it better not take 20 seconds because that's terrible podcasting. So, let's hope that this takes a little bit. It's studying the match plans. It's having a really good look now at what is going to happen. It's telling me to do a goalkeeper transfer, and it's telling me you need to get rid of Pickford. Recommended transfers: Pickford to Martinez, and also Moon is out to buy João Pedro.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think both of them do. It's just whether we decide we're going to spend a transfer on a goalkeeper. But the podcast team does have 3 frees. It's not made any transfers yet. So, judging by Scott's conversation earlier, we might make that transfer. But yes, I think the Muniz to João Pedro seems to make great sense, doesn't it? You save 0.4 and everyone's happy. So why would we 0.3? Because we only get the 1.1 rise from Muniz. We needed to be a 0.2 rise from Muniz for us to get the 0.1. Yeah, not too bad. Right, let's look at captains. Let's do it. Because we've had this conversation already, but I feel like you're both Haaland. 3:00 kickoffs, Brentford.
I literally, right, looking at my team, and I could easily not easily, but Haaland, Brentford, Pedro, home to Ipswich, Salah and Jota, home to Forest, even a Rodgers at home to Everton. Like, there's a lot of options, isn't there? But there's only 2 options. So flip a coin, Haaland or Salah. I'm going Haaland.
Have we got the same team? Because you've literally just named my entire lineup as well.
Probably copy me, haven't you?
Well, I've had to really so far, Ed. I need to catch up after last week. I was doing so well. Like an absolute brick wall last game week. Baz, yeah, I mean, you hanging your hat on the robot that is Erling Haaland at home?
I'm afraid so. I'm going to be boring, and yeah, it's going to be probably Haaland back to back again. Yeah, Salah's obviously probably going to return as well, but I think Haaland's going to return more. And I do like the Isak shout that I said earlier, but like I say, as Scott mentioned, it's only between 2, I think.
What I would say as well, one thing I've just thought there is obviously if you go Salah over Haaland, what I'm trying to get at here is Haaland's owned by 66% of players in the game. Salah's still only owned by 42%. So Salah, you go Haaland and Salah gets a couple of goals. Not everyone's basically got him. Like, he's going to be less owned in your mini league, isn't he? And therefore less captained as well. So there's a bit of less risk than jeopardy there as well, isn't there?
Yeah, well, it's one of those things, isn't it? Like if you go with Salah and then Haaland destroys you, like this is what happens to me. For me, I've been thinking Salah this week, and I don't know, maybe it's a bit biased because I've got PTSD from destroying my team last weekend, but also I feel like the Forest fixture is a really good fixture for him. I don't know. Brentford just seem to do things against City at the Etihad. But that was with Ivan Toney. I don't know. I'm really, really torn. I think at the moment, well, I know at the moment my armband's on Salah. But that means that Haaland's going to score a hat trick, doesn't it?
I can't even get swayed this week by like the early kickoff or like Super Sunday. If it was like one of them was Super Sunday, like the 4:30, that would sway me towards going to them. Or again, the early kickoff on a Saturday, that would sway me going against them, but they're both 3 o'clock out on Saturday. I guess Salah's gone to Egypt, has he? That's a bit further away.
Yeah, I suppose it is a bit further away. But so City's results against Brentford at the Etihad, they beat them 1-0 at the Etihad last year. They lost 2-1 to them the year before, and they beat them 2-0 there the year before that. I mean,
there you go.
But for whatever it's worth, they don't tend to destroy them. Liverpool at Anfield against Forest beat them 3-0, beat them 3-2, and that's the last 2 times they've played them within record that I can find. So they average 3 goals. They've scored 3 goals every time against them at home. Who knows, mate? Who knows? I mean, predictor points on Fantasy Football were 8.7 to Haaland, 8.2 to Salah. Like even the AI's got it half a point. It's just it. I think it's just one of them this week, isn't it?
I might actually bring back Spin the Wheel.
Oh, do it. And do you know what you should do? You should Instagram live it and see if anyone cares to watch. I would. That's what I definitely watch. Barry doing Spin the Wheel about who's his captain going to be. Yeah, lads, that's us wrapped up. Deadline game week 4, Saturday's 14th of September at 11 o'clock. Don't forget to get your team sorted out by then. Thank you very much for joining us. Scott, thank you.
You're welcome.
Barry, thank you for joining us as well. Don't forget to like the video. Like it right now. Click it. If you're still here, you better damn like it, because you've obviously watched the whole thing, so you should definitely be liking the video. And also subscribe to our YouTube channel and to wherever you get your podcasts from. And don't forget to, follow us on social media platforms, or for Pod P, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, to follow some more of Barry's amazing graphics. Thank you, Barry. No, yeah, see, they're very nice. And that's all the best from me. Thanks a lot, and bye for now.